May 1945. The air hangs heavy with the scent of damp earth and distant smoke over a makeshift processing camp near the Rhine, where the spring sun filters through budding trees onto rows of weary figures in gray uniforms. A young Luftwaffe ground crew auxiliary, her hands still calloused from fueling fighters and patching runways, stands in line amid her comrades, women who had served as Helferinnen, signaling crews, mechanics, and flak spotters for the once mighty Luftwaffe. An American soldier approaches, casual in his olive drab, extending a bright orange sphere, its skin gleaming like forbidden gold under the pale light. She hesitates, eyes widening as the fruit's sharp, sweet aroma cuts through the stale odor of defeat. This moment, captured in fleeting anecdotes from the war's final days, marked the collapse of a regime and the revelation of worlds divided by more than battle lines. As Allied forces swept into Germany in the spring of 1945, thousands of female auxiliaries, known as Luftwaffenhelferinnen, or Blitzmädel, found themselves captured or surrendering alongside retreating units. By war's end, nearly 500,000 women had served in Wehrmacht auxiliary roles, with over 160,000 in air defense and ground support for the Luftwaffe alone. Recruited from the Bunddeutscher, Machtel, and drafted in increasing numbers from 1943 onward, these young women, often in their late teens or early 20s, manned searchlights, operated radios, repaired aircraft, and assisted anti-aircraft batteries. They embodied the Reich's desperate mobilization, freeing men for the front while upholding an ideology that prized their femininity even in uniform. Yet, in the harsh winter and spring of 1945, scarcity defined their reality. Wartime blockades and bombing had severed supply lines. Fresh fruits, once imported from southern Europe or colonies, vanished from German tables years earlier. Rationing grew severe: bread at 200 grams per day, meat sporadic vegetables, ersatz from root cellars. Propaganda spoke of endurance and sacrifice, but hunger gnawed relentlessly. Oranges, those vibrant imports from Mediterranean groves, became legends whispered in schoolyards and barracks, exotic relics from pre-war days, unseen since 1939. Many younger Helferinnen had never tasted one. Older ones recalled them dimly as childhood luxuries. They were myths, symbols of a lost abundance, much like the promises of final victory that now rang hollow. When American troops offered these fruits plentiful in GI rations, shipped from vast orchards across the Atlantic, the contrast struck like thunder. The women expected hostility. Propaganda had painted Allied soldiers as barbaric invaders, bent on vengeance. Captured Helferinnen braced for retribution, having heard tales of harsh treatment or worse. Instead, many encountered casual generosity. Sergeant might toss an orange with a grin, saying little, or share from a crate during processing. The peel's zest exploded on senses dulled by years of turnips and synthetic substitutes. Juice dripped sweet and tangy, a burst of vitality amid exhaustion. One documented recollection from post-war interviews describes groups of auxiliaries pausing, in stunned silence, turning the fruits in their hands as if artifacts from another era, before biting in, faces softening in involuntary wonder. Historical records substantiate the deprivation. By 1944 to 1945, caloric intake for civilians and auxiliaries hovered below 1,500 daily, leading to widespread malnutrition, Allied reports. Noted German prisoners and captives appearing gaunt, yet remarkably disciplined. Quotes from interrogations reveal the shock. One Helferin reportedly murmured to comrades, "They have oranges," as if the war never touched them. American accounts, in unit diaries and letters home, mention handing out fruit to those girls in the gray skirts. Noting their wide-eyed reactions, staggered, not by fear alone, but by the tangible proof of enemy plenty. This encounter reshaped perceptions profoundly. For the Helferinnen, steeped in Nazi ideology that exalted German superiority and decried Allied materialism as decadent, the orange pierced the veil. It was no mere fruit. Recurring in stories of captivity, it symbolized American abundance, industrial might producing endless supplies, the democratic society's capacity to sustain its people even in total war. where German propaganda promised a 1,000-year Reich built on austerity and will. Here was evidence of a foe whose homeland overflowed with citrus groves, factories humming untouched by bombs. Many auxiliaries raised in Hitler youth leagues began questioning the regime's invincibility. Post-war testimonies reveal quiet transformations. Some shed fervent beliefs, recognizing the lies of scarcity as necessary for the war effort, while abundance flowed elsewhere. The fruit's bright hue lingered in memory, recurring emblem of defeat, not just military, but ideological. In the epilogue of war, as Europe rebuilt from ashes, these fleeting moments echoed deeper truths. The orange, simple and vivid, embodied freedom's quiet power, not in thunder of arms, but in the everyday bounty a society affords its citizens. It whispered of lands where war's shadow spared the orchards, where ideology bowed to human flourishing. For those young women who once serviced the machines of conquest, tasting that sweetness amid surrender linked personal awakening to a larger revelation that abundance, shared generously, outlasts empires forged in deprivation. In the end, it was not hatred that staggered them, but the gentle proof of a world beyond the myths they had lived.